Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Relative Pitch. We are so excited to see everyone and be with everyone in fellowship, and we're just glad that you're back listening to us. In fact, like today, it's just us three today, which we haven't done one of these in quite a time because we've have so many good guests that come on that we meet, and we're like, we have to just you know basically shout it from the mountaintop. So we have a lot of people on, and we have some good people coming up further into the season. But today we just wanted to talk to y'all. So first, Lauren, Michael, how has your 2024 started for y'all?
I'll let
Like,
Lauren.
no, I want you to go first because it's more relevant what you just came, what you just finished up doing.
Okay. Well, 2024 has been good. I have not drank water I'm not drank soda.
Well,
I drank soda in 14 days.
Wow.
So we're making health choices next
water.
week. Um
Not the
on the
Stanley Cup.
22nd. What'd you say?
She got the Stanley Cup.
Hey man, I just got a little glass. Next week starts no eating after 9 p.m. So health choices. And I just got back from the Trumpet Festival of the Southeast. It was great. Got to meet some colleagues in the Southeast. And this was my first time going back as a teacher and not a student, which kind of felt weird, but oh well, we're here.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, the first 2 weeks, I thought you were supposed to be settling into the new year, but it immediately was like boom, bam, 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 boom. Like immediately, first week of January, I had a recital, which woo woo. Done with that. Amazing.
Congratulations.
Flute, flute. Thank you. No, it was fabulous. Very, very happy that, just to get it done, right? I know a lot of people probably can relate to that. Sometimes the build up and the anticipation to do something is worse than the actual thing. So like that week before, I was just like, I wish I could just do my recital right now and be done with it. But it was great. Glad I was able to collaborate with the people I was able to collaborate with. And yeah, then the week after that, kind of with the symphony, jumping back on to all the events. I can't tell you one weekend after this weekend where I don't have work. So we are full steam ahead into it. We're just going for it. I think it's just going to be that type of, maybe not year, let's not say year, maybe first like 3 months of the year.
Yes. Honestly, kind of the same. Like, I don't. First of all, this past week that we were filming was the first full week at UGA, and oh my goodness, just every single day coming home, like, what is going on? But I think for anybody, that first week of school or getting back into anything like that, it's just kind of overwhelming a little bit because it's like, oh, we're just starting this once again. Even if it's in the middle of the semester, it can have its challenges as well. So, the I would come home and I'm like, I just want to get into bed, y'all. Just leave me alone. Because I think for me, I go to whenever I'm like at work or at school, I give it all. I'm there from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and I'm always putting out fires or what it seems like putting out fires. So when I get home, I'm just like, I just want to sleep. Just put me in the bed and I'll wake up tomorrow and we'll
Put
do it
me in the
again.
bed.
But the thing about it is each day got progressively better because it's like, okay, we put out this fire, so tomorrow it should be easier, easier and easier. So this next week, I'm looking forward to just kind of scooting by, but it's not because we have this big festival happening coming up.
I was
And
about to
the
say, you said
joke,
something by, and I was about to be like,
yeah, no, that isn't in my vocabulary. Because I made a joke a couple weeks ago, like nobody tell me I need to be in the streets between now and April because I'm booked every single weekend. I have
Yes,
something to do every weekend, but
yes.
also ask me to come out in the streets because I still want to be in the streets. So, but it's that kind of balance we ride of like still having a personal life as well as just being in the field, being busy and being booked, busy and blessed.
As always. And
Mhm.
that's so funny because like the thing about like when people I think meet the three of us, one of their first things they ask is like, do you sleep? Like do you have a social life? And it's like, well, yes, like I do. I am able to while balancing all these other things. And I think it really is a choice because I definitely think that, some people would not be able to put out the amount of like output that we put out and also balance it out with like social engagements. And I understand that because everyone's capacities, especially like mental capacities, like you were saying, Anthony, you have a long day and like you're like, I need to go home. But then maybe throughout that week, still you go out once or twice and
Yeah.
those help you, right? And so that's the same thing for me. Whereas like there are days where I'm like, go to work or go to school, come home, don't talk to me. But
No.
then like I maybe want to go out a little bit, like
Yeah. And it can change the day up. Like it truly, you could be driving home from a long day. You're like,
yeah.
actually, I don't want to be alone. I actually want to be at the bar or getting some libations or something like that. And it reminds me of something that Lauren, you actually said to me when we were at Midwest, was to the effect of Anthony, you like stay hidden. And then when it's time for, CBD or Midwest, like it's on. It's on. And that is the literal truth of me. When you see me at Midwest or you see me at CBDNA or GMEA, it's a social hour, but
Yes.
for like 4 days straight, from
Right.
waking up at 8 a.m., going to bed at 4 a.m. Okay. It's the bus, club, bus, another bus, plane, club. Like you got to make
Plain.
appearances. Have to make your appearances. But let me just tell you, at the end of Midwest or at the end of a conference, you ain't gonna see me. I'm going to school,
It
I'm
won't.
home, and that's it. And so
Right.
all of that kind of battery is gone. It's
Right. Yeah. And you also have to like figure out like are you the person who's like energized by people too? Because there's a difference of like if you get your because like Michael loves a little crowd. He jokes and he'll like, oh no, I want to do no. He loves a crowd. Like he really does.
uh,
And so
I'm telling you, I'm a politician at the end of the day.
okay, maybe not that. But yes, no,
maybe not that.
maybe not that. But Michael really does love being around a group of people, and I like so you just have to figure yourself out of like who are what like for you, what do you need to recharge? Because maybe you do need to recharge by just going home and laying down, and that is exactly what I think someone came up to me and asked me about Anthony at Midwest and was like, how does he do all this? I was like, well, you guys see him in this prime, right? Of like he's been hibernating and storing up all this energy just to release it all in this like what 5 to 6 day stint, and then as soon as we get back into hibernation.
Back into hibernation. He is gone in his garbs.
Right,
Yes,
garbs.
and she's gone. And I'll see y'all in a year or whenever the next conference is. But something that you said about knowing yourself, I think it is very important to know yourself as a social person, as a person that's at home, when you're at work, what type of person you are, because it is very important, especially as musicians. I want to bring something up because it's been sitting on my heart, in which I think we've talked about in the past, because it's just one of the things I talk about being a conductor specifically. For me and my philosophy, the person who I am off the podium is the person who I am on the podium as well. Now there are some, I put on maybe my earrings, some accessories, but I'm still Anthony. So I'm still, Kiki and Kukorn. I'm that person, but I'm also telling you, hey, that's wrong. Let's fix that. I do not put on, I'm a band director now. I am the only person of knowledge and you are the subjects. So you should always listen to me. That never becomes me. And so I think for all of us, like we're all teachers here. So when we get into that role, it's not I guess a stark difference between who we are and the way we teach.
No, I agree with that. And you're actually bringing up a bigger thing that I think is a conversation that needs to be had more often of this idea of like how like the society of like of like classical music and academia, and like just like how to socialize within that space. And like that gets into professionalism and respectability politics and all these other things that I feel like our generations are kind of trying to like not tear down necessarily, but we're trying to like make sure that we're not continuing traditions and things just because that's what the people before me did. Therefore, I'm going to do exactly that, because things are changing. And just like Anthony, you were saying this idea about individuality and personality, like that's becoming way more and more, I think, seen now. At least it's being platformed, and I think celebrated a bit more now in totality. Like in the past, yeah, there were individuals who were doing their thing and they were like major, and they got known because of who they are as an individual. But I think what I'm seeing now is this idea of celebration of individuality at every single level and for everyone, which is the difference. And so what's unfortunately going to happen, especially at UC as an educator and also a student yourself, which a lot of us are still in that mode of like, we have students we're teaching, but we also are still in educate, like learning ourselves, is a little bit of this going back and forth between like wanting to make sure like your students are being respectful and understanding of like what others' expectations might be, but also not saying this is how they have to behave just because that's how you behave. And I think there's a little bit of ageism that happens within that as well, you know.
I love you just brought up the magic word,
Ooh,
ageism. Look,
ageism.
so oh my God, we almost did that perfectly on time.
Really
We'll have
did.
an 8 count. We'll have an 8 count next week, y'all.
Right.
Anyways, but here's the thing. I'm sorry you decided to wait behind people to start your career, babe, because that's not me. This is my career.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it every time. They're like, you're like, what, 28, 29, 30? I'm like, I'm 25. They're like, wow, you're doing a lot. I said, no, I'm not.
Ooh.
I want more.
Mm.
Like, why do I have to wait?
Mm,
Why do I have to wait for you to get out of the way? There's space for both of us here. Because guess what? You're a person and I'm a completely different person.
Mm.
I don't have to wait behind as an assistant or as an adjunct or as like these persons and wait for the next person in line to get their next job for me to then take that job.
mm,
I'm going to put myself in the market and form the market around me instead of me conforming to the market.
mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because why would you wait? And today's that rent payment ain't gonna wait.
Ooh.
That
Oh,
car
come on.
payment ain't gonna wait. So why are we waiting?
That's a whole, wait a minute, because you just said a whole thing with that rent payment's not going to wait. And it won't.
And
And
it
that
won't,
car
baby.
payment, let me just tell you, that car payment and that insurance.
It will ensure they gonna get their money.
That's the tease. Because you know, a lot of these people are always saying, well, you got time, you got time, you got time. Yet you had time because in 1967,
Ooh.
first of all, civil rights. But second of all, it was a way simpler time then. So of course, things move slow. Nowadays, things move a lot faster. You are, and the societal pressure of succeeding has kind of moved forward in the aging of like, okay, you have to do something. And also what's crazy is our generation always gets the lack of y'all are lazy, but then you're also turning around and saying y'all are doing too much. So which one is it? Are we lazy or are we doing too much?
Also, why do you take every opportunity
Ooh.
to question our skills,
Mm. Oh.
to revalidate yourself and your insecurities and projecting it onto us, the younger generation, who is out here and who is just hungry to work? Like, don't project yourself. And that goes for anybody. Like, don't project yourself on people you're jealous of. Don't project yourself on people that you don't dislike because you feel like you should have that role. Jealousy is where I see a lot of this.
Oh
I
yeah.
see a lot of this is when people are jealous that people are getting certain recognition that they feel that they haven't received.
Especially when they're
Or,
younger.
what do you say?
I said, especially when they're younger, because they're jealous of, well, I didn't achieve that when I was your age, so you shouldn't be able to achieve that until you're much older, until you are an expert.
Oh, Anthony, what do you mean expert? How
Ooh.
many scores do you know?
Ooh, tell.
Have you been published yet?
Oh,
No, let's, but for
Like,
real,
I just love
well,
you.
for
first of
real.
all, for the record, the first answer, many. Second answer, yes, I have been published. Oh, I almost cussed. I almost cussed. Y'all about to get me mad. Y'all about to get me mad. Woo, Jesus.
No, but I'm not gonna name names at conferences, but there are some conferences that now where I am in my life, my career trajectory, I don't necessarily have to network the way that these two do. Therefore, I get to watch. And I love it because what I notice in these little back and forth exchanges between other people, there's a lot of like sizing each other up, like people. And like, here's the thing, don't lie to me saying you're just curious and everything when you're saying, oh, but how many of these have you done? Well, have you done this yet? Oh, well, I used to do that. When are you going to do that? Or like, well, don't you think you're doing too much? Because honestly, it's giving bitter.
Mm, yeah.
And it's kind of like none of the information that you're getting is going to make you any better or make me any less of who I am. So it really bothers me when, especially because it happens like we're 25 and 26, like, and we have people coming up to us and exactly that. I think more of the time with us, people are asking, like, you guys are doing too, like, oh, it seems like you're doing much and blah 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 blah, or like that's not the path I would have went down, or that's why you're not me, and things are different and I just don't understand it. I really hope that one day there isn't like a switch that flips or something where I'm bitter that way, but I encourage the younger generations to do the things that they love doing, and a lot of them reach out to us asking how we were able to do things, and what do? We tell them, oh, this is what we did, but like also you don't have to do exactly what we did to get to what you want, like, but we just can tell you this is just kind of what we did. But like, it bothers me to no end whenever age comes into play, because like, what if I said I was 37? Then you would be like, and that has happened where I literally think people thought I was older than what I was, and then I mentioned my age and I could just see something shift in them. And I'm like, are you mad that I'm 25? Or are you not? Do you think I'm less credible because I'm 25? Like, you know what I mean? Are you
When they
angry
hear
at
that,
me?
tuh,
Ooh.
they're already switching. If they hear the the,
Mm.
then but then you have some of the bitter people where you'll say like, oh, I'm actually 37. They're like, well, you haven't really done a lot.
Mm,
But if you said you were 25, you've done a lot. So why is that? And then another thing is like our generation has to break the cycle that the person we just are talking to now, that we know them better than they know themselves. Because that's what I feel. I feel like this older generation feels like they know you and they know what you should be doing more than you know yourself, even though you live inside your own body 24 hours out of the day, and they had just met you 5 minutes ago.
mm, mm-hmm. Well,
Sorry.
what I would like to see from everyone is stop thinking that generations that are younger than you, because they maybe didn't have the same transgressions as your generation did, they're less credible or less valid. Like their feelings are less valued because luckily that means you did something right. If you removed a barrier from a generation behind you, you should be happy about that. Because why do you want somebody to go through a struggle, the continued struggle? How does that make sense to anyone?
Well, they're not actually interested in the advancement of their field. To me, basically, if you're mad that I'm not going through the same ooh, things that you went through,
Ooh, Jesus.
then that means that you're not actually interested in the advancement. So just say that.
Then
Well,
just say that. Like, keep it a buck. Keep it a buck and just say that it's superficial. I want to see how you
yeah,
struggled.
Right.
That's the only part that I hear about. Not that you got here, but what was the sad story of how you got here?
yeah, and I think they're not worried about the advancement of the art or the craft or whatever. They're worried about the advancement of themselves, which also I can never judge anybody for the hustle. Like, yes, be about your bag, be about your hustle, but do not step on other people and push them down to make yourself feel bigger. Because
Mm.
here's the thing, push somebody down, they will rise again,
Mhm.
and you are the same height.
And they're gonna remember that. That's
Oh,
the thing.
baby, they will. My memory is long,
Mm.
and my heart is
Oh,
open.
something just came up to me. Something just came into me. Hold on. Well, first, on the generation thing is for this current generation, as a former teacher who taught this upcoming generation, I think they're getting a lot of flack
Mhm.
about them not maybe showing as much effort as generations like our generation or people older than us. And I allegedly show less awareness to things. But one thing that I personally, I like to see it on the more positive side. What I say is this coming up generation, they are chill. They're like, unless you bother me, we're in our own lane and we are doing what we do and we are striving for whatever we decide is our goals. And they're no longer, they're breaking those kind of walls that we were plagued with. If you want to be here, then you're going to have to go through this steps here, step A through Z to get here. And this current generation that is coming up, they're like, F that. I am not, why would I go A through Z when I can make a loop de loop and go around and still get the same thing? Because what I also have seen in this generation, specifically on the social justice way,
Mhm.
when it's time for them to stand up, they're gonna stand up. When
Mhm.
I look at these younger kids, and it's specifically LGBTQ, everyone is somewhere in that. Everyone is living, very peacefully and they're enjoying their time as human beings. And then I hear older people saying, "Oh, what's going on there?" They're treating each other like human beings. Shouldn't we be happy about that? Shouldn't we be saying, look at what they're doing? Look at how they're doing this. This is hope for the future. But instead, you were saying, specifically, a person was talking to me and he read some book. And if you are a reader of books, but it was saying how this new generation, they take opposition as now just truly not liking you. So say me and Lauren are talking and I say, no, Lauren, your shirt is not brown. And so that is
Right.
opposition. And Lauren then turns away and like, oh, well, forget this. I'm done, blah, blah, blah. And so they don't want to actually engage in a conversation. That is what is being said amongst theorists about this generation. Well, here's the thing. I also see that as saying, okay, I'm not about to argue with you.
Why? Why would I?
Like when I was engaged in this conversation with this person and they were telling me about this, the only thing in my head was, so you're looking for an argument. Can you not? Okay, you have a different opinion. Lauren says that's a cream color. I say it's brown. Okay, and
Like, maybe Lauren did not feel like she might have been like, I love that for you.
Right.
And I'm
I'm
gonna
on that. I'm good on that. You are good on that. Like if you want to feel that, by all means, that's good for you, babe. But for me, and I'm just gonna turn around and I'm gonna leave.
Right.
And
because
Anthony will leave. Anthony will literally
yes,
just
over my growth, I have learned the power of just walking away.
Yes.
I'm not
Oh,
going to sit here and argue with you because it's just not going to go anywhere. And especially if it's over something like the arguments that should be being had is the freaking world disasters that are going on. Those are the arguments that should be detailing. But if we're sitting here arguing over the treatment of an eighth note, I'm leaving. And also, fun fact: if we're at a bar, don't talk to me about music. I'm sorry, like just don't.
well, okay. And like there's two different conversations. Like you can talk about music a little bit, but like do not get into the details of a thick text book that people do not want to read in the first place. And then you citing this thing like you like, well, I'm Muhammad Ali. Like I'm gonna cite everything. I'm gonna float like a butterfly and sting you like a bee with these facts. And then when I look at you, like I don't care.
Mm.
oh,
I
oh.
think I
It,
because like I do not care. Like if you see me staring in the distance, I am disengaging with everything around me.
Yes.
And if you have to get my attention to talk,
hmm.
I am superficially listening. Cause I'm gonna make you feel like I'm listening to you.
Mm.
And then the minute we done, off.
Well, oh, Jaeger, hi, Jaeger. Everyone say hi, Jaeger.
Hi,
Hello.
Jaeger.
But like, no, you just brought up a really fun. I mean, I have to go in reverse, but I'm gonna start exactly where you just left off on this idea of like how to read the room, because that's another thing that I think ties back to Anthony's like point as well about the arguing. As soon as I feel your energy and I'm like, oh, you're not actually wanting to hear my opinion, you're just wanting to state your own, I'm not engaging
Mm.
with you. I'm not engaging with like let me get a tambourine. Like I'm not engaging with you. Like why when I already know you've made up your opinion, there is nothing that I'm going to say that's going to shift or affect your opinion, period. Then for me, I'm gonna go, you know what? If you think my shirt is brown, then that's really great for you. And I'm gonna go walk over here because I don't want to, because why would I have to subject myself to you and you're not even wanting to listen to me? And why would you want to talk to me? Like I don't like why would you want to talk to me? I don't get it.
Why do you? Why are you? It's like it's honestly bullyism. You know how the definition of bully is somebody inflicting over and over, trying to get a reaction.
Did you
Mm-hmm.
say bullyism?
Bullyism.
Is that
Bullyism.
a word? I
I'm
love
gonna look
that.
it up.
I don't know if it's a real one, but Anthony Moore's just making it to
But you
be.
said it with such confidence. I love that.
So
You
it's my
said
word now.
Oh my God, it is the belief in systemic bullying.
So who's smart now? Who's smart now?
That's crazy.
Bullyism.
how do
That's
you see it?
thank you. But
Come
that's
Um,
really like when you say I would like to engage in debate. Okay,
on.
you can engage in a debate
Mhm.
in the lecture hall, sure, and your office, sure. But if I'm sitting at a bar, I am not here to engage in a debate because the thing is, I'm gonna hit you with this bottle.
hit him with a what?
A bottle, mhm, a good Hennessy bottle, and that's thick glass. Thick.
Oh,
But
it's thick.
also,
Nova
the
South, you ain't got Hennessy.
I hate you. The thing about a debate, though, is that any good debater will tell you that you need to hear and understand what the person who you are debating with just said before you give your own rebuttal to it. That is what a good debate. That is why these presidential, and listen, it's an election year, so I'm already tired. These debates that we're going to be hearing, the reason why they're going to be so awful is because they're just responding instead of listening and having a response because they listen and then they respond. So that's why most of the time it sounds like random people saying random things about like to a random person So if you want to debate with me, listen to what I have to say before actually responding. Because half of the time I have to say the same thing 3 times in a row for someone to be like, "Oh, you know what? I hear you. I understand that." Because you're not listening. You're just wanting to respond immediately to what I'm saying.
And the not listening, I'm piggyback on Lauren real quick. The not listening is a choice.
Yes.
You are choosing not to listen.
Yes.
And I would love you to exercise the other choice.
Also, I think the question comes up about what is listening. When you're listening to someone else tell a story, you basically need to put yourself into that story and see what they are trying to say. It's called empathy. It's seeing what they are saying. Because I think in some of these debates, when they're just reacting, they heard the words, but they didn't put themselves into those words.
Ooh. Oh.
So, like, I could just tell you that for me, growing up in the way that I did, I had this, this, and this, and this. But then you immediately hit me with the question of, okay, so why didn't you achieve this? Did you just hear anything that I just said? Just said. And then what I have noticed as we were talking about ageism earlier is that they will not listen to someone that is younger, someone that lacks the credible sources, or will always try their best to disprove what you said. That's a person who I just cannot be around. If your entire existence, especially in a conversation with me, is to disprove what I am saying to you, yes, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to leave.
Like, and it's not for a lack of not wanting to defend myself, or I know the work I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. You are just choosing to try to find a crack instead of empowering a younger musician. Honestly, who cares about musician? A younger individual.
Correct.
In this world that's already hard enough. Also, well, Anthony, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you gotta have a little card that you carry around that says I've published this many times, I know this many scores. I don't know. I don't think you call the memo.
Yes, I didn't, child. Look, if you what I
You gotta
always
be
in my head is like, okay, well, if you care so much about my biography, Google me. Just Google search. It'll tell you what you need to do. Now, if you really want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation. So,
two-way.
and a two-way conversation. Now, if I feel as though you were just here to prove a point or something, what I hate superficial. I really do. Like, I hate superficial talk. And Michael is really good at that. Michael is really good at just talking on the surface. And I love that. For me, I will walk away as I have done before.
And y'all, here's your credible source. When Anthony is done, even with me or like any of his friends, when he is done with the conversation, there's not like, well, he's like, I'm going to bed. Because he's ready to go to bed.
Yes.
And then when he's ready to leave a conversation, he's ready to leave a conversation.
I'm going to leave because what is the point of just staying here and being in this space when, I mean, of course, not at home, Michael. You're great. I love talking.
I know, but
I love talking with you. But in these conversations, especially when it's like a field and field conversation, it's like, no. One, again, read the room, as Lauren said earlier, about where are we? Where are we? Now, if we're in a conference and we're right outside a conference room after a wonderful session, then we can engage in these type of conversations.
Yes.
Or I could also extend slightly to lunch.
Yes, sure.
Dinner and on.
Yeah.
Let's maybe talk about who we are as people.
Right.
Like,
and that goes to what I was saying earlier. I don't care about your musician quality. I really don't. because that is when we're in, these spaces, rehearsal, things like that. I care about you as a person. Who are you? Can I trust you? Are you a good person? Those are the things that matter to me the most. I don't even care if you've conducted the London Symphony. I do not care. But if you were to say, oh my gosh, well, this is where I come from and this is me, blah, 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 now we can get somewhere. And I think it's the same thing with students. Students don't care how much you know, they care about, do you know them? Do you care for them? And until that is established, there's going to be some rocky waters. And I feel like that is just a human trait. Get to know the people, as human beings. Then once that is established, y'all can do whatever you want to. You really can. But it has to have a foundation from person to person first. And also music specifically. And I could just say, as a conductor, what we do is people relations. That is our job title, people
Yes.
relations. And if you're not a people person, then you might be in the wrong place.
Well, and I'll let me just double check. You said as a conductor, people relations is like a big thing.
Yes.
I'll go a step further. Any musician. Like we had a college roundtable with all the professors at the Trumpet Festival of Southeast, and the whole talk, 2 hours, was about people battling your ego, dealing with jealousy, and it always came back to connections and people and making a valuable connection. Like, don't stress so much on a first impression that you're so scared you can't even make one. Like, instead of one impression, why not over a conference you make four? You just
Mm-hmm.
always bring up like, hey, my name is this, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. I saw you did this and I just really enjoyed it. And this is why I enjoyed it. And you made a connection with the person.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like, hey, I'm Michael, and you just like stumble over everything because you're so nervous. Instead of making one, make two or three, and they're likely to remember you. If you want to make that connection. If you don't want to make the connection, then don't make the connection.
Yes.
It's all about making connections and like just gaining a network of people and not for superficial reasons of like, I know this person, I know this person, blah, 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 blah. Maybe this person's going to call me for a gig now, and blah, blah. No, make connections with people to build a village, not to network what's next.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you're only, I'm going back to like the idea of like if I feel that you're not actually trying to get to know me as a human, I'm just gonna hand you my CV because that is basically what you're asking. Just check it out. If you have any questions, contact my management.
That's it.
Like
I'm your manager.
right, like I'm not sure what else you're trying to get out of this, but for me, when I want to connect with people the way that Michael's talking about, it's like I want to connect with you. Either we have mutuals and the mutuals have been like, you really should like talk to this person and just get to know them. And for me, I'm like, oh, I'm curious as to why people want to get us together. And then maybe I do reach out and like there's something that happens. I'm like, oh wow, wait, let's go get lunch. Like let's go. But for me, I'm like, I'm gonna be like, so who are you? Like I just want to know everything about you in terms of like what makes you a human. Like, yes, you could if you want to go down your educational journey, sure. But I really want to know who you are as a person. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, what I've learned is
Uh-oh.
when people don't want to know that about you, it's because they're scared that you're going to realize they have no personality. Because why else would you try to hide that part, like, or why would you not be interested in asking that about me unless you're fearful that I'm going to do the same to you?
Mhm.
Like if you don't have anything underneath that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you took this time in this field to make it feel as if you should not be an individual outside of your career, your accomplishments, et cetera, et cetera. That is very sad to me. And I'm sorry, actually, that you went this entire time thinking that anyone only cared about how many scores you've read, which books you've read, all these different things, but you don't even like value yourself.
Mm, mm.
What would happen if you couldn't bring up anything at work?
Oof.
Oh, but I mean, literally,
Like, I'm
literally,
sorry.
and not the the my first conversation with people that I knew at this festival was, so what's your big vacation plans coming up? Because after the first week, looking forward to a vacation sounds beautiful.
Uh,
And so we were comparing vacations. We had a whole argument and debate, fun debate, about what's the best city to visit. Not about trumpet. What's the best city? And why do you think? And then we had a whole debate about what's the difference between a big town and a small city
mm,
and those kind of things. Like, this all stemmed because I was like, so where are you going on vacation?
Jeez. Jeez. Well,
Not, hey, what mouthpiece you playing, man? Like, if you play an F, are you really thinking this? Are you thinking this? 8-4. 8-4. 8-4. Once 4 o'clock hit, baby, brain gone.
bring
Brain
it. I'm not caring about any of this.
until you enjoy enough libations where you just want to try stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think from what both of you said about if your person is only music, I'm sorry. I don't think we can be friends. Actually, I know we cannot be friends. Because as we have said on this podcast now for 4 seasons, music is not our personality. We do music. Music is our career. It is our hobby for some part as well. However, we have established ourselves as other people. Okay. We like traveling. We like eating. We like, we love to drink. We love all of these things. We love new experiences. Nothing to do with music. If you bring up music, girl, I don't know you. I don't want to talk to you either. I really don't. So if anybody is listening and you are coming into this career, don't think because you do have your music nerds and that is their personality and that's fine for them. But I, it, I just have to say, have a person. Who are you? If I were to take music away tomorrow, will you still be able to be a human being?
ooh, and take it a step for specifically like the idea of music as in academia and a career, because you can still have music that you enjoy as a person, and that is a part of like who your identity, your personality. But like in terms of what I think we're talking about this specifically, music within academia and music as a career. Like if you were to take that away, then what?
Then what?
Softball coach and a history teacher.
Mm.
I'm a
I
I'm I'm gonna become a college coach in softball.
told y'all many times. I would be a travel agent. I would be on a cruise ship at some resort or something, traveling around the world.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll either be an athletic coach at a college or a politician.
You
I was
know,
supposed to be a lawyer, you know.
now, boom, boom. And you know what? Like, I remember somebody asked me recently, they was like, so what do you do outside of music? And I was like, well, I love traveling. And then I was like, I really love cruise ships. Like, for a long time, I thought I was going to work on a cruise ship. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah. I was like, if you want to know Carnival Cruise Line history since 1972, since their inception, and all the cruise ships that are in the cruise line, I could tell you all of that, baby. I've sailed on every class of them. So I could tell you ad nauseum about it.
Ad nauseum.
Look, don't get me pulling up my YouTube videos because I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up.
And that's to me, that's so beautiful because like I see Anthony and like Michael, yes, I see the achievements they've been on their paths. I've been there from KSU and on, but also like I know what the things that they love, the things that actually make them tick are. You know what I mean? Because like I know that Anthony cruises, I'm like, okay, that traveling out, like city life, socializing, all that, like fashion, that type of thing, like I just know, like, okay, there's always going to be another layer of what's going on. Michael, sports, don't know, don't understand it, but hey, go sports ball. You know
The
what I
football
mean?
ball, baby.
Sports ball, you know, his dog, bourbon, family. Like there's just so many different layers to like both of them that I'm never worried. Like we're never gonna just be talking about music. Like if we call and everything, so how's everything going? That oh, you know, work, school, whatever, blah blah blah. But then there's so much more. And if your conversations you're having with people are just the bare minimum of like, oh, how's work, how's school? Okay, bye, that's all I wanted from you. You're not really connecting with people,
No.
unfortunately. You don't have to, the whole thing is, this is another thing. You don't have to tell everyone in your life. If you're a very private person and you go to conferences and you don't want to disclose anything about yourself to anyone, you can do that. But unfortunately for you, just know you're not making the type of connections that are actually deep, that develop into future things. You're just going to have connections that are bare surface connections. You're never going to have anything with depth, unfortunately. And that's not, you don't have to overshare. Like let's
Please
let's make
don't.
sure we understand that. Don't
Please don't.
overshare.
No.
That's also a red flag.
Red flag. Red flag.
Like we can meet in the
Yeah,
yeah.
you and those red flags, they're out. One, like I have seen people overshare, and it's like, why? Why did you say that? Why did you do that? Why are you acting this way?
Yeah.
And I think that conversation about, well, I was being vulnerable. Oh.
Uh, I don't know you though. So why are you being
Well,
vulnerable?
now it's weird. Oh my gosh! Actually, one of me and another friend of mine, we went to a restaurant, and the service was a little slow, and the waiter, he came out and he was just like, oh my, I'm so sorry, they are really effing it up back there, and our boss is this, and we're just sitting there like,
You're telling me all
wow, why are you telling me this? Girl, I just asked for water. It's so now we're put in a weird space because we're just like, are you okay?
of it.
Because you let that wall down very fast, very fast. In fact, another one of my friends, Weston Lewis, who's been on the podcast, he always said that it's so weird, like when you go up to a person and they like expect you to know their name already, like, oh, I'm this person, so you need to know me. Like, I shouldn't know you. You shouldn't know me. We've never met each other. We don't know each other. So therefore, you should not tell me my whole biography, and I shouldn't be able to tell yours either. Let's meet each other human to human. Because again, if it wasn't for this music career, we would just be two random people on the street walking.
Mm,
And until we say, hello, my name is Anthony. Hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. Then we can go and engage in a conversation.
right.
And for people that there are people who are quote unquote have some type of status or something, yes, you maybe know a couple things about them, but it would be so weird if you come up there, oh my gosh, you did this, blah, blah, blah. Now it's
Stalker.
giving stalker, it's giving I have to look over my right shoulder.
Now, students, please, if you are a student and you come up to us and you just know us, like this has happened to us in the past, please do that. It is so sweet and
Absolutely.
so endearing when it's like, oh my gosh, you do relative pitch. That is really cool. And of course I know you from that because it's giving me some kind of like understanding as to why you know me. And I will never, ever, ever, ever say anything negative. And none of us ever will feel any type of way, especially about people who are coming up and you like state why,
Yes.
and it happens to be from that. Cause like that's another thing about public platforms
Yeah.
is when we do spend a lot of our time saying our names and talking about things we do, it's normal for us to expect that someone's going to come up and say, oh my gosh, Lauren, Michael, Anthony, like this is so cool to see you in person. And so for me then what I do is say, oh my gosh, okay, this is what's happening. This
Yes.
person knows me because of this. Then I'm still going to introduce myself as I'm Lauren. It's really nice to meet you. What's your name? You know what I mean? But yeah, if the thing that I think, Anthony, you're specifically talking about is like whatever it's like very similar levels, And obviously this person has been checking your page and like following different things, and especially not for the right intention, and they think that you're supposed to be doing the same thing for them. That's weird. That's weird.
Promise you.
That's weird.
Again, I think I I am just a person and this was just how I raised. If again we did not have music, we would just be strangers. So we would have to meet each other and then get to know each other. Then we could talk about music for whatever. However, until we meet and we know each other now, that whole seeing someone at the beginning and just having that small talk, it's just not, it's not. Because what are we doing? So,
Like, if you're a young person or an older person, just don't recite somebody's bio.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just like maybe one or two things that you have seen them do. Like, if you come up to me asking about all these little other side jobs I have that are not the two most public ones, I got some questions because I don't post them anywhere.
Mm.
Right, right. Because if you're Facebook friends, and this sometimes this does happen where I have Facebook friends and I forget that we're Facebook friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're friends on Facebook." So I saw you just had your recital. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yes, of course.
Perfect.
Thank you so
Not the,
much."
not the, not the
Oh, like give me some context as to why you know this information about me. Like I ain't Beyonce. You don't you like you know what I mean? Like that's the thing about it. We're not that public of a profile. You know what I mean? Like that's different. But like if we're not friends on anything and you just pop up out of nowhere being like, "Oh yeah, I know that you do this." Cuz then I'm like, "Well,
That's
why didn't
sneak
you?"
following. It's sneak following because like, oh, so you actually searched for me. I didn't search for you. And there it is.
Anthony must have one of them Instagram apps that checks who looks at your page.
I mean, that's what they got because it's just like, that's weird. I mean, I get, but also that's different from saying, okay, I've heard your name many times, and so it's a pleasure to meet you. It's like, okay, great. Like, let's talk because that's a human thing,
Yeah.
especially in music, because we're only what a third or fourth connection away from knowing someone. So it's like, well, duh. But I'm talking if it's like cold turkey. I don't know you. I really don't. That's like a person from Iowa saying, "Oh yeah, I know Anthony." No, you don't. I don't know anybody out there in
So
Iowa. Shout out to my girls in Iowa.
shut up. Well, that's like up here. Like one of my former students went up to it for an interview somewhere, and they're like, "Yeah, I took some lessons with Michael Brown," and this person was like, "Oh yeah, I know Michael Brown." No, you don't.
Mm.
If I don't know your name, I don't know where you live. I don't know nobody in Tennessee. Until August, I knew no one in Tennessee. And now I know people in Chattanooga, which is just North Georgia. It is not Tennessee. I go over the border. Like, and so like don't I yes, you can comfort people by saying you know them. You could also just be like, they sound like a great person. Also, for me, one thing I'm trying to get better at, this is just a personal thing. If you didn't make a genuine connection with somebody, but you are around them, you don't always have to send a Facebook request.
Michael's like, "This is my perfect personal preference." I'm saying right
I
now.
just want to put that. I just want to put that out there. If you were in the vicinity, just follow me on Instagram
Not on Instagram.
I
because
feel
a
like
follow is much easier than a Facebook request. Because I feel obligated when it's a Facebook request. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, wasn't the original conception of Facebook to do that exactly what you said?
I
Not,
guess, but it's not anymore.
I mean, the question is, what age are these people? Because if you thinking they're 35 and above on Instagram, I mean, there are, but it's different.
I'm talking about our age.
Oh, well, still, Facebook is like I see Facebook as a professional. Instagram is where you get to see me out in the streets. So actually, friend me on Facebook if it's a professional deal. Friend me there. Don't follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, I just don't care. I like Instagram better.
That's because you just spent the last year getting into Instagram.
Right.
Okay? Like
And I've
literally.
and I've been purging my list of Facebook slowly but surely.
Oh wow.
Like if I
So
don't actually know these people, I can stand to lose a few.
honestly, I just won't go through it. I'm just like, yeah, if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. Like I'm not going through that thing because first of all, I don't have the time.
Mm-mm.
I not. So if you happen to not interact, that's on you, not on me. Because when I accepted this friend request 8 years ago, that was then, and now we're here. Simple.
What was that laugh?
It's just fun. Well, like I see Facebook as like the social LinkedIn, right? Like
Yes.
that's where I
Yeah.
get to know really what people, big milestones they're doing with a little bit of social toss in there, you know what I mean? Instagram, yeah, I'm putting like, ooh, this is what I cooked for dinner tonight, or ooh, I'm hanging out with this friend, or like, oh, this is what's happening today, or like more definitely like social fun, like personality things. And sometimes it's a mix. Like sometimes I like duplicate posts and everything because it just makes sense for both platforms. For me, Instagram is definitely more like, ooh, friends, because like I like people sent they'll like my stories and I'll be like, ooh, thank you, and like that type of thing. Where Facebook is more like formal, you know. That's
Facebook
a
is very like a tornado of places because it's yes the social LinkedIn, but it's also where your like second cousin, you see all the babies, and then you
yes.
see what yeah, you know some random old person is doing. So you like see it then, but it's really it's for I would say what I'm doing. It is more for your milestones and your I guess job LinkedIn type of thing. So Instagram, follow me if you want to be, like see the social things that Instagram, definitely. Now, Michael is just using his Instagram as a professional platform, which some people do. Some people use
Well,
that.
it's funny. I mean, the posts are professional. The stories is me.
Mm,
Hmm,
mm, mhm.
I only want to give you a little sneak peek, 24 hours.
I hate you. I hate
sure.
you.
So I think the last topic that I just want to ask about is again, when I believe in respect. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there. I respect whatever titles you give me. However, if we then leave said conference center or said classroom and we're in a social setting, personally, I'm no longer calling you by your title first. Because A, we're sitting at a bar. Or and it depends, of course. Now, if we're like at a bar and we're like just drinking. Now, if we're at a dinner that is just like, oh, we're eating, then yes, of course. But say it's just a social thing, I'm sorry. Because my name is Anthony. This is Michael. This is
Mhm.
not master student or professor, not about to be Dr. Lauren Grant. Like we are just people. And especially I would say for us, because we're all in the same like range now to where we're almost like in the field to being doctor or professor or whatever. Those what we thought when we were in undergrad, how those people that like it's just gotten very smaller now. Like we used to think Dr. So and so, blah blah blah, Dr. So. Now it's just Jim,
Yeah.
Jack,
Bob,
Jamie,
Bob,
Bob,
right. Bill,
Bill,
Bingo,
Peter, Paul, Mark, Luke,
Luke,
all
John, Reba, you know,
T-Bag,
Reba.
everything in the Billy Goat.
that's it. So it's like, when we're in, say, the bar setting, that's what, for me, it is. Because then we're in a collegial relationship. Now, of course, students like undergrads, high schoolers, blah, blah, yes, you're calling me by whatever the name I gave you or whatever title I gave you. But when you get into that upper region, almost to professional life, it gets a little crazy. But I'm just going to tell you right now, if I'm like 3 cocktails in, I'm no longer calling you doctor. I'm sorry.
Zero cocktails in.
Well, okay, here's the thing though. There is a very big difference between being on school grounds, being at school conferences, like career things within the career like in the field, a career dinner or like a conference dinner where it is still a professional setting, anything that's an academic and professional setting, period. Like if you, whatever things that have been established. So I know for myself, my most of the professors I know have always asked me to call them by their first name. And that was undergrad for me. That was my master's, and that's my doctorate right now. And that's different, right? Because not everyone has that. So this is what I would say, students, learn what your teacher's preferences are and abide by those. If they say there never should be a moment where you call me by my first name, then you know that. And let me get to the next one though. But that's what I'll just say, that in any professional setting, you will call that person by the name they give you, because you never know why. Those are their boundaries. You have to respect that, because you never know what they've gone through and why they've set those things into place. So within professional settings, if they say you must call me professor or doctor or whatever, you do that. Now, I have gone out to where there are happy hour socializings and things with grad students and just grad students. And the professors and all the they're like, "Hey, yo, I'm Jim." like let's talk, because they want to get to know. And especially grad students, you're older, you're in a different level of your life. Many of us, our colleagues, have children themselves. They are teaching. It is a very different type of setting where it's like we are all collegial at this level, right? And in those settings is where generally it is known, oh, we're just saying first names. We're on that level. And if someone has an issue with that, they will tell you that. But again, if you've listened and done your homework and due diligence within the professional academic settings, you will already know how, you will hear the switching that happens. Because for me, when I talk to my undergrads and I'm TAing, I always say Professor Shin, right? If I'm talking to my other grad students, I say Donna, right? And we know that. And that is something that we have established within professional, collegial, all the different settings, reading the room. Now, I go out to a bar and we're talking, even if we're at a conference, but we say, hey, do you want to go grab a drink and blah, blah, we're talking about schools and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying Dr. Dr. Blah. We are drinking and we are adults, okay? You know who I'm talking about. And first of all, especially if you don't know me, who are you to tell me how I should be addressing someone? You know what I mean? In this non-professional, non-academic setting, you don't correct me with
Yeah.
anything that I do,
Mhm.
period.
Yes.
Because I don't even technically have to address you by any formal title, even if you ask me to in a non-professional, non-academic setting.
Yes.
For
Yes.
you to be out of pocket and to try to correct me within a non-professional, non-academic setting is inappropriate, actually, because you don't know what type of relationship me and said person you're trying to correct me on have. So you're assuming, and now you look dumb, Jim.
Yeah.
Bob, Mark, Luke, and John. So, because what you just said about you are assuming that I don't have a connection with these people
Right.
who I'm referring to. But the other thing about, if we're in non-professional, non-academic settings, and I was just a regular person, how would you introduce to a regular person? You most likely will not say, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Now, if you are that type of person, I don't want to talk to you in the first place, because you came into this world as Jacob. You came into this world as Donna. You came into this world as the name that in a non-professional, non-academic setting, that is the name you go by.
We need new pens that say this is a non-professional, non-academic setting.
Yes, that's what we need. Non-professional, non-academic setting. So, and then it's really crazy when you are in these areas and say the other person has a professor, and we're just shooting, what you call it, Michael, is shooting the shit. Is that what you call it? Shooting the shit. Yeah. Literally, what you say in that moment, doctor is not there. It's whatever, blah, blah. And you try to correct me. We
Right.
about we about to get into a heated debate. And
A
this,
heated
I'm not
debate.
listening to you. I'm winning.
And Anthony and Lauren know that's why I can do small talk. I be shooting the shit. Like I'm good at that. You just let me know. I got you because I'll sit here like this,
Mm,
or I'll give you this.
mm.
And here's the thing about it though. Your titles, good job. You earn them. You
Yes.
go, right? Like we're not saying anything about titles in terms of like, oh, you shouldn't use them and blah blah. The difference is, again, I'm sorry. I don't think even when I get this doctorate and it's in front of my name in a professional and academic setting. Now, here's the thing. I know I'll have friends, I'll have family members who are always like yes, that's fun,
Right.
right? But I'm not going to assume that anyone who sees me, if they're like name and I'm like doctor, even though I could, right? If you go to the doctor's office, anywhere where you sign your name somewhere and they may ask for a salutation form or whatever, you have the right to say I'm a doctor, and you can put it there because it is usually, if they're asking for that, a professional or academic setting in which they want to know that information. Me going to Starbucks, me going to wherever, and they say what's your name, I don't need to say Dr. Lauren Green.
Mm.
They would put it on the cup, and good for them, but what am I? You need to ask yourself why you got this degree. If you are going around to your local Kroger's, your local Taco Bell, and trying to get them to put doctor on all of that, like, I need you to take a moment and like reflect on yourself. Because listen, I'm proud of you. You did the damn thing. You have that degree.
Yes.
But can we just take it in a little bit more?
Well, and let's be for real, for real. Most people not in music would say that's a made-up doctor anyway, because the doctor usually refers to a medical doctor.
Right.
So the people, the general public would be like, you ain't no damn doctor.
What you gonna fix?
And, T. Now, of course, we all know like that's not true. We earned the doctorate, whatever. But I think we get just so tied up in our own musical egos that we forget in the rest of the world, we are just people. We are just
And
people.
same for the medical doctors. Like, even
Correct.
for them going out, they're still just human beings.
Yes. Yes.
Well, also, let's all not forget, because we often say this a lot, but then we act a different way. Our field is oversaturated with doctorates. Oversaturated. So if we continuously say that, why do I have to keep saying the doctor? Because my mama, her mama, everybody, 10,000 other people got this damn degree. And guess what? There's about 5,000 without a job. You know why? It's just a piece of paper. It's not who you are.
Mm.
The person, you didn't do the work. You just earned papers. You know what them papers can do? They can go on the shredder. They can hang on a wall.
Not do that though.
They can go on a wall. They can hang in a shredder. My degrees are not even open. I don't even know where they are.
Mm.
They in the little tubes still.
Oh, that's crazy.
And here's the thing, again, like I say, and this is why relative pitch is a perfect blend and a balance, because I'm not as wild at the time. I'm sorry, my mother immediately took my degrees out and framed them for me, like professionally framed, mounted, matted, all the things. I am proud, as Michael is, as Anthony is, of our degrees. I think what the point that Michael's trying to make is that there are some people who use those degrees and hold them as like, this is this. And it's like, but who are you? Because I hear what you're saying. When you have a master's, a bachelor's, a doctor, you're saying, I went through the coursework to earn this degree. And I hear you, but I want to see what how that has translated into you as a being and the work that you do when we are in those professional academic settings. That's the difference. You can be proud of what you do. You should be proud of what you did. You should be proud. Everyone who's gotten any degree has done a certain amount of work to get to those points. And we hear that. We are with you on that. We've paid money to be in these positions. We have done these things to get to the jobs and places that we are currently in, 1000%. But just remember why you're doing it, right? And don't just use that as, oh, I'm a doctor, so I should be given everything. Because no, unfortunately, the way the field is, there are a lot of doctorates in our field. There are a lot of DMAs in our field, PhDs even, who are running around who are still trying to find a job. And that is a whole issue in itself. But at the end of the day, you got to know who you are. You got to know what you bring to the table amongst all your colleagues who went through the same training as you and who are trying to find exactly the same job to make them, their families happy, all those things. But what, remind yourself very often why you're doing what you're doing and put the ego aside for a little bit.
Put it aside.
Yes.
Put it aside. Because I'm sorry, we don't do egos. I'm sorry. Like I don't do it. It's not fun to even going back to what we talked about earlier with the debating. It's like you're letting your ego just try to do all this. Just come in it and just talk. And that's it. And I think that once we finally start to do that, we'll finally learn that our community is truly a community. That's how you build a community, by just talking, by finding those commonalities between you and the other person. Then y'all could be ended up like, do you want to go on vacation together? Because I feel that's exactly how Relative Pitch came together. We found commonalities between each other. And then like 4 years later, y'all want to start a podcast together? Yes. So, but that would have never started if we didn't talk first. So, but you know what? This is such a wonderful conversation, and I think it was very, very needed. So, if you have anything that you feel about anything that we said, please leave it in the comments down below. Let us know what you're thinking and how you feel about these. But until next time, we shall see you later. Bye.